Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chris Mitchell podcast. Hope all is well and good with everyone tuning into the show. Very special guest we have with us today. Been waiting a while to do this, Sir John. Had a couple of panels in the past, but it's finally nice to get to know the real you, get to know the life story of you, and have a good one-to-one discussion. So it's an honor to host you on the show today, mate. So let's go over to you. Let's give a brief introduction on who you are and where people can find your work.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, it's a long time coming, this interview. I think very long time, well over a year. I'd say about 2 years, mate.
Yeah. I think we was when we was in Manchester together. That must have been 3 years ago, actually.
Yeah.
3 years this summer. Yeah.
So yeah, guys, I'm an activist, but I am soon going to be running in the local elections. I'm second generation Windrush, 54 years old. I don't have any children of my own, but I have a large family, 7 sisters, something like 25 grandnieces, nephews, or great grandnieces and nephews, something like that. But yeah, I got a good family unit as well. And like I said, I'm getting into local counselling, so we're attempting to start our own political party up, which is called the National Housing Party UK. I'll just get I'll show you the
Nice.
And
got the old cross in there as well.
Yeah, we want to change. I want to change politics, really. It's not even loading in on mine.
It's loaded in for me, mate. Yeah, we'll obviously get into the politics later on in the show. But as most of you are aware, we always start off with a nice little icebreaker on the show. So any 3 people you can go out on the session with. It could be a drink, could be a nice little smoke, a bit of Mary Jane, could be just a meal, just a night in, playing some cards. Any night out of your choice. 3 people, dead or alive, doesn't matter who it is, family, politicians, celebrities, any one of your choice, bro. Who would you pick and why?
My old man, because he was an inspiration to me. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Enoch Powell, because even though people might think he was a nasty man and all that lot, he had good foresight. And I can tell you a bit about Enoch anyway, but he had a good foresight. And Bob Marley, I'd love to smoke a spliff with Bob Marley and listen to some tunes. I mean, it's done a whole host of tunes, and really, I can't say that any of them are rubbish,
But if you had to pick one,
I can't remember what I said. Oh yeah, Get Up, Stand Up.
Get Up, Stand Up. That's the one. That is the one. All right, so let's start off. Good choices, by the way. Very good choices. Bob Marley, a bit of tunes in the background. As you're on the session, you've got your dad there to look after you in case anyone tries anything on, and also Enoch Powell to discuss the old politics. So you've had a few too many drinks. Everyone goes on a passion at one, don't they, after a couple of drinks. And get him on the old wacky backy, I guess. but yeah, let's move. Go on.
Well, the thing is, Chris, I don't need. I've always been an outspoken person, so I don't need any Dutch courage. I don't need a couple of drinks. You know what I mean to say something. That's the kind of person I am anyway. And then I'm not aggressive either when I'm drinking. I'm just chilled out and mellow.
Chilled out and mellow, yeah. The same. Yeah, just probably more louder. And but yeah, moving on. Let's talk about your childhood then, bro. So quite interested in yours. So where did you grow up around? We'll go on to that first. Where did you grow up? How was it for you in your childhood times?
Well, I mean, I was born on the. I weren't born in Oscar. I was born in Malba Street, Glodwick, which is a big Pakistani area now. At the time, there was West Indians, Bajans, and Jamaicans, and a few other different West Indian islands. And then there was a big Ukrainian community there. I
didn't know that we had like quite a bit of. Maybe I'm just being thick here, but I didn't know we had such a Ukrainian community back.
Yeah, Yeah, big Ukrainian community.
1930s was that, John?
No, this is Windrush times. So this is the 1950s.
I thought he was older than that, John.
No, 54, mate, 54. But this was the early 50s and the back end of the 1940s. But I mean, the thing is with the Ukrainians, why they're not there now is that they integrated, Chris. We go out. This is a big thing in England now, integration. The Ukrainians integrated. There is no big Ukrainian community. They did have a few Ukrainian clubs, but they integrated well. That's what they did. They integrated well. And my dad were always one for he wasn't going to be staying in the same area, segregated. My dad wanted to integrate, which he did. We moved out into an estate which was 99% white. And you know, and lived there. I made friends. I mean, did I experience racism then? Not in the sense of what people think it is now.
Well, that's what intrigues me about this interview, actually, because obviously you're from half white background, half black background, so. And we hear all these stories all the time. So, well, we all know what the mainstream media is like, but you know, and obviously I'm not doubting that stuff did happen back then days, but I think it's overflated with the amount of stuff we're being told. As you know, we're pretty much mainstream media, but what we always hear is, growing up was so tough. Well, I mean, in fact, people say it now, growing up so tough being black or mixed race or not English. You know, we're always being bothered, we're always being targeted for not being a white Englishman. I mean, like, so back them days, I mean, don't get me wrong, probably it was worse than what it is now. I do think there's a lot more anti-white, anti-English rhetoric in this day and age than there probably was back then.
Oh yeah, definitely. I totally own that.
But yeah, how was that growing up? Being like just being mixed. How would you like to become mixed race? Is that fine?
You know, it wasn't that bad, Chris. It wasn't that bad. You know, like you know, you hear people in London, with the black youth don't get chances and all that. Well, you're not working hard enough. You know what I mean? I worked for my thing, and like I did some training when I were on the dole, yeah, and it was a 2-week course, but I spent an extra week doing my qualifications. I didn't have to, but I wanted to get my qualifications up, so I spent an extra week studying to do my qualifications. Now, you know, what the black youth like in London, did they do that extra week? You know what I mean? I've got an identity as well. I think that's a big part of it. A lot of these people who complain they haven't got identity and all they do is slag England off or slag the Queen off or bring up slavery that happened 300 years ago. They're not moving forward and they're not integrating properly. They're really not. But I can't always blame them. It's our government not making them integrate, you know what I mean? But it wasn't that bad. Like you said, racism is a weapon now. It was real then, but it's a weapon now to be used against the indigenous British people.
Yeah. Well said, mate. Like, so obviously, is everything all right, mate?
Yeah. I'm just my mum's mumbling away to herself. I'll just show you.
No worries, mate.
Meow Queen.
Oh, bless.
She can't really communicate well, but she's got advanced Alzheimer's. So we're part of a family, and when it come down to it, I just quit work and moved in with my mum looking after her. We've moved out of a single room flat that my mum lived in into a 2-bedroom flat to fit me in. I slept on my mum's front room floor for 18 months. I isolated for 9 months of the lockdown because I had to, because I was with my mum. But you know, we're a good family unit. You know what I mean? Our family, we're good, strong family unit.
Yeah, that's good, man. I hope fair play to you for looking after your old dear. So kudos to you there, sir. So obviously, again, growing up, how was life in school? You know, did you get into any fights? Was there any white people that were literally just like outing you because of you're not, well, like
no, there wasn't.
Not fully white.
No, not while I were at school. I had a bit of trouble with a couple of lads, but like we'll have a fight after school behind the school shed. And I did. I fought about 3 or 4 people over my school life, but you know, that was it. And our school was it was mixed. It was quite mixed, white, mixed race, black, West Indians, and just a couple of Muslims. But you know, there was some ethnic minorities in it. But you know, we didn't really have any big trouble. There were no guys walking around doing Nazi salutes or anything like that. No one did anything like that to us. You know what I mean? And you know, it's just not as bad as it is now. But like I said, Chris, I've got an identity. I know where I'm from. A lot of the people now who shout racist, they haven't got any identity. They're not, you know, when they come here, yeah, you can carry on supporting your country. You don't have to support England. And it just makes it worse, doesn't it? You know. But
I just feel like, what's the point? I've never got it. It's just like me moving to Jamaica. It's like, fuck Jamaica. Or if my parents gave birth in Jamaica and we lived there, I was like, fuck Jamaica, just for example, or any other country in the world. And why live there, man? Like, you know, you can get a flight somewhere else if you want to the perfect country of your choice. I've always thought that.
Well, I can give you an example. There's a character in Jamaica called White Yardie. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a bit of a comedy guy, does sketches, and he is white. So he's over there. His mum got pregnant. She come to England knowing that that's the best place to give birth, yeah? Then she'd gone straight back to Jamaica. Now, years later, he's on a show called Unapologetic on Channel 4. And he's saying, look, I'm Jamaican. And then the black people, no, you're not Jamaican, you're white. Yeah, but that's where I've lived all my life. That's the only life I know. So I'm Jamaican. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're a white person. But he's correct in saying he speaks patois. He eats Jamaican. He breathes Jamaican. He's Jamaican. You know what I mean? That's where his life has been all his life. So, you know, and he got a lot of shit over here of people over here of colour. You know what I mean? It just goes to show what they're like over here. They haven't got identity, so that's why they have to pick on people.
Yeah, but would you say like obviously you've got these like say so for instance, and you might disagree with me, but say if your father came over from the West Indies, did he come over?
Yeah, Jamaica.
Yeah, so he came over from there, and he was with another woman from that country, gave birth to you. So obviously you would have been fully black. Just for instance. And you've obviously grown up here all your life. Would you class yourself as English?
Well, I can't class myself as English because English is an ethnicity, but British, yeah.
British,
yeah, definitely.
You'd be a British citizen, yeah.
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 I mean, my dad. The thing about Jamaica was a British colony until 1979. So my dad was British when he come over here. No, it's not like he's from Iraq and he's coming over. You know, and getting citizenship. My dad was already a British citizen. That's why the Windrush could come here at that time, because he had that identification.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be British, but I'd hope, because of my dad and the way my dad was, I'd hope I wouldn't be like the Black Lives Matter. I wouldn't be like them. You know what I mean?
Because your dad would have supported the Black Lives Matter.
Pardon?
Do you think your father would have supported the Black Lives Matter?
No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't, because he would have seen what's behind them. You know what I mean? He would have seen what's behind him. He'd have seen the anti-police, the defund the police, the Marxist, socialist views. And my dad weren't a socialist or anything, and he wouldn't have liked that. And I know he wouldn't have liked that.
I mean, so what identity would you call yourself now then? Like as
British.
British. Would you not say you're half English? With that.
Oh yeah, I could say I'm half English, yeah, but you know, like I'm not going to say that. We used to say half caste, but I'm not going to. I am a British person, and I'm a British citizen. You know what I mean? My culture is Britain. My upbringing is British. Church of England, like everyone else. And when I talk to people, and I tell them that I've been in Boys Brigade, and then I went to Sunday school, and they're confused, like I wouldn't go. You know what I mean? And you know, I'm British. Yeah, you can say, anyone can say that I am half English. I am. You know what I mean? But you know, I'm British. I've got to have a identity, and that identity is British.
Yeah. Fair play, fair play. All right, so we'll just stay with your childhood a minute, because I do want to discuss the Windrush. But have you got any specific memories, some funny memories from your childhood? Something, you know, something you might have got up to that you can share with us?
Well, I mean, in the early years, like when the West Indians came here, we had a carnival that went round Oldham. So we had dancers, carnival dancers, all who slapped the thighs. My sister was one of them. So it was really colourful, lively. That's what it were when I was growing up. My dad was one of the founders of the West Indian Association in Oldham. Oh, yeah. And so they had a West Indian club, which we've visited regular. There were weddings. People had the receptions at the club and stuff like that. You know, and played dominoes, and you know, they had a bar and all that. So that's all been a part of my life growing up. You know, as a kid, I got in a little bit of trouble with the police, but like it's nothing like what kids get in trouble with these days. You know what I mean? There was nothing, no drugs.
Freddo bars from the shop or something.
Yeah, there's no drugs charges with me. There's no weapons charges or anything like that. There's no violent charges that I've had. Never gone around beating people up for no reason. There's just nothing like that in my record. The stuff I've got is petty crime, really. But, you know, it's all a learning experience, Chris. You know what I mean? And when I'm 54 now and I think about what I've done and the stuff I've done, I've learned a lot when I was younger, and I'm very perceptive to taking things in and stuff like that. So my upbringing made me the person I am. So, but, you know, no trouble. There was the odd little bit of trouble here, but it was nothing like what it is these days. Nothing, you know, just not on the level. Yeah. And violent crime in the UK is its all-time highest.
Yeah, I get you. I mean,
things like sex attacks, that kind of crime has skyrocketed.
Oh yeah, knife crime. You know, the grooming gang issues. I mean, I think they've been going on probably since the early 90s. Haven't they, the grooming gangs?
Earlier than that, mate.
Yeah, probably earlier than that. But yeah, I'm from about 89. Obviously, I remember that. But yeah, like just to discuss, like obviously you got other movements, you know, that have been around, and a lot of English nationalists or ethno nationalists. They would actually probably see you. Oh, he's mixed race. He cannot be English. He cannot be English. I mean, how does that make you feel? Like, you know,
I'm not like, English. I'm British.
I would British. Say I would still say you're half. You're half. Yeah. You know, because you're and maybe they'll probably say, "Oh, you're wrong. You're wrong. How dare you say mixed race has got English in it?" But no, but that's where half your family's from. So
the thing is, none of them are doing anything. I could be the future prime minister, Chris. I'm getting into politics. You know what I mean? So when I get into politics and I'm the leader of the country, I will be a very hardcore nationalist. You know what I mean? These people are just going to have to deal with it. And really, I'm not a person who I've got my identity. I know my identity. The other day on Amigo News, somebody went like, "Oh, you're half caste, so you can't be a nationalist." That's what they said. Now, that kind of statement is why we've got all these people here who don't have identities, Chris. That's why they're having a go at us all the time, because of people saying stuff like that. You know what I mean? I've got an identity. That's a big thing between me and Sacha Brown on Black Lives Matter. Massive difference. I've got an identity. I accept that identity. So it's tough. If the ethno-nationalists don't like it, I'm going up there. You know what I mean? If I'm you know, you never know. I might make prime minister. Then I'll be giving out the orders then, you know, and I'll be the chief nationalist. You know what I mean? They'll just have to put up with it. A lot of the stuff they say, I 100% agree on. You know what I mean? And doing our family history tree, my cousin died a couple of years ago. My cousin Paul, and he'd done a family tree, right? And my white English side of the family, we can trace back 22 generations, going up to, I think it was, the year was 1450 that we can trace our family back in the Manchester area. If that doesn't give me any rite of passage, I don't know what's going to give me any rite of passage. You know what I mean?
Of course, of course. Obviously, you see with these people, they want it to remain. I mean, I'll get your answer on it actually. Like, so at the moment we are possibly, this is a prediction, we're waiting for the 2022 census. It should have been last year, I think, but probably because of COVID delayed. I would estimate we're around 78% white English. Now, there's been, now people believe on the nationalist scene, believe it should be 95% white English. 90% you might get off one or two. I put my answer would be 90 to 95%. I think, you know, what would your answer be to that question?
90%. 90% I'd be satisfied with, and that's not just me. There's a black lad called Luke Reed. I don't even know him.
Yeah, we've had a few words before in the past.
Right. Well, Luke would be happy with 90%, mate. That's off his words. He'd be happy with 90% white in this country. He'd be happy with that. You know what I mean? I'd be happy with it.
But it's also got to be. I mean, like you said earlier, the Ukrainians, they integrated, and don't get me wrong, I've met a load of people outside that's not ethnically English that has integrated into our society. I've known a lot of Polish, but I don't want this nation also to be a mixture of Poles, Ukrainians, or, you know, whatever. I want it to be super majority ethnically English people. Like I have,
which is the same in every other country.
Yeah.
It's the same in every other country, except for England are not allowed to be like that, or the West are not allowed to be like that. Now, I don't openly say there is something against the white man, but I see a lot of evidence of it, Chris. Yeah? I see a lot of evidence. When the ethno-nationalists say it's a white genocide, I see some of that evidence. You know what I mean? So I have to agree with them on you know, to a certain point. I have to agree. But, you know, I'm just the same as everyone else, except for I've got mixed race skin. There'll be ethno-nationalists who've been Boys Brigade. I've been Boys Brigade. There'll be ethno-nationalists who've been Sunday school. I've been Sunday school. You know what I mean? I've always supported our armed forces and British culture and history throughout my time. Now, yeah, we haven't always been too good. In England, no country has ever been perfect. All of the country, you know, the life of that country. Britain's one of them. We've made mistakes, but there's a saying that if you erase history, you're doomed to repeat the mistakes that you made in the past. And our history is being erased. And when you look at it, they want to bring segregation back in for certain people. You know what I mean? And that's something of the past. That was bad segregation. You know what I mean? It's madness. But, you know, I'm British with English and Jamaican ethnicity. There's no more I can say about it. You know, I could say I'm English all the way, but I'm not, because English is an ethnicity. And I'm only half that ethnicity, you know, so...
I mean, like, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here, but there are also people that believe that this is all like a plan, you know. So obviously, no disrespect, may rest in peace your father, but it's all some sort of plan to bring non-whites into our country, to go out with whites, you know, to mix breed. And obviously, you would fall under the category of being that product. Again, not trying to disrespect you here, bro. What's your take on this?
Well, I mean, Muhammad Ali said, "Don't race mix." That's what Muhammad Ali said. Said to black people, "Don't mix with white people." But our Britain now is, yeah, it's all right to you must mix, you must mix. And I mean, I have talked about it a little bit, but there is dangers of race mixing. There is dangerous, just genetic dangers of race mixing. That's nothing to do with racists or anything. It's just to do with where people are brought up. So my dad's Jamaican. The climate in Jamaica is a lot different than it is here in England. So what you find is a lot of Jamaicans have breathing problems. Yeah. And what you'll find is a lot of mixed race kids end up having sickle cell and skin problems. You know what I mean? Because the difference in race mixing and this is biology. This is in books. This hundreds of books. It tells you this. But no, we're being pushed now that you've got to mix. You've got to mix. You've got to mix. But no other country has to mix. We don't. The Nigerians aren't forced to push to marry white people. Muslims aren't pushed to marry white. No one except for the West. But I mean, I've said this from the beginning. Even if it's not a white genocide, it's a battle against the West to bring down Western capitalism, because we know that Black Lives Matter, the labor movement, they don't like capitalism, but you know, we love it. You know what I mean? And I've always said that even if I didn't agree that white people are under threat, I would say that the West is under threat, and that includes me. You know what I mean? It includes me. So the West is under threat, and I've said that before. So, but you know, it don't really bother me. I've got an identity, Chris. Like I said, I'm not like a Sasha Johnson who ain't got no identity. He just keeps thinking, bringing up things from 300 years ago. You know, that's not me.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, what annoys me with people like that is, oh, our ancestors were slaves. We were these. And so, well, what about the slaves going on right now in Africa? Like, you know, and who ended slavery? It was us. We ended it. I mean, like, and they pretty much took part of it anyway. Like, we bought them off black owners as well. So, but I do want to. I don't know if you want to make a comment on that, actually, John.
Check my dad's name. My dad's name was Granville Wilberforce Lawrence. Granville Henry, a slave abolitionist. William Wilberforce, a slave abolitionist. And Lawrence was the first non-segregated town in America. And that's my dad's name. So it gives you a bit that my dad wasn't going to be segregated. And he believed in William Wilberforce and Granville Henry, who started the beginnings of ending of slavery.
Just want to show you something, John, as well, like to go on this agenda. So anyone can do this, by the way. This is not me just typing in afterwards. But this is literally, I've just typed in, you know, someone else I'm not going to mention. Someone that wrote this earlier, so fair play. I just added in. So I sent a post earlier, so credit to him. White women with children. But I actually added white women with white children. And here you can see, just like white woman with a non-white. That's actually a whole black family there. A black mom with white children, a white woman with a mixed race woman with a white kid, black, looks don't look too white. You got there a white couple that has a black child. I mean, look, this is the agenda being spewed out. So when they do say there is an agenda against white people, and I think it's also an agenda. I also think it's quite disrespectful against black people as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. We'll type it. Which obviously, but black women with black children. Let's have a look. I think it probably will be normal. But, hey, well, yeah, there you go. It's not as much. No, there's not really much babies there, is there? So, but
I've done this. I've done this before, looking at the families that come up on Google, and it is one-sided. But like I said, it's all right for Muhammad Ali to say you shouldn't mix with white people. It's all right for him to say it, but it's not all right for a white dude to say it. That's why I resist it. That's why I'm here. That's why I've got to break the mold, Chris, because it's wrong that. It's wrong that. If he can say it's all right and no one says nothing, but if you said it publicly, you'd be cancelled, shut down, everything. No, it's wrong. That's the whole reason why I do this. I'm not having that kind of divide. You know what I mean? I'm not.
Yeah. You did break up a bit there, but I think you're back. His internet problems. They don't want us speaking together. They're like, no, a white man, a mixed race guy is speaking together. Shut it down. But, just want to bring.
If people are like that, then they don't understand about identity. Because if people are going on it like that at me, then I think, oh, fuck the white man. I'll just turn black and then just focus on Jamaica. Then I'll be one of them bad. I'll be a Sasha Johnson. You know what I mean? I'll be one of them who doesn't have an identity like Sasha Johnson. She's not worked out her identity. You know what I mean? That's why she's like that. So to all them FO nationalists, if they're saying that to me, then all right, I'll regress and go on my black side and just end up a right cunt like the rest of them, if that's what they want. But I don't want that, me. I want to go further than that. I want to break the mold, you know what I mean? And it's not, obviously, it's not my fault I'm mixed race. I never chose my parents or anything. It's not me, you know, no one forced anything, you know, it's not like that. But them people, them hardcore ethno-nationalists, they make a mistake there. People should have an identity and they should accept the identity. They have here. There's many black people in England who will class themselves as British or even English. But then you get the likes of David Lammy and Diane Abbott who break all that up, you know, and don't do enough, you know what I mean? Honestly, it's a joke. And we're going back to Windrush. When my dad come over here, one of the most important things to my dad was sorting his paperwork out, Chris, properly, yeah? And he's told me this years ago. He sorted his paperwork out properly, and he never had no issue when this Windrush scandal thing come up, yeah? But Diane Abbott and David Lammy knew all this. Why didn't they do enough to tell people to change the paperwork and get it all sorted out? You know what I mean? It's just snidey, honestly. And I don't like them two, the tokens. Them two are definitely tokens.
I mean, like David Lammy. I mean, he's there like, oh, you should. I was going to ring. I have griped him before, but I can't find it, so I can't remember word for word. I said, and James Goddard also phoned him up, but I can't remember word for word now, and I can't find it. But I'll have another little look. David Lammy, I mean, he's always there. It's like, oh well, someone rang him up about demographics. Oh, the chickie's coming home to roost now after all the colonisation you want, and then like a few weeks later, he's there. I'm just as English as you. Yeah. I'm like, right, well, I'll tell you what then. Why don't you start paying reparations out? Why don't you start paying reparations out? You think you're as English as us? When are you going to start apologising for slavery? But it only suits their agenda when it comes down to slavery and when they want or feel like they can be English.
Yeah, you know, and I wouldn't mind, but when talk about slavery, they never talk about the Barbary Coast slavery guys who took white people from England. They don't talk about Middle Eastern slavery that's going on right now. And, you know, do you know that, like, when black slaves were took to the Middle East, they was castrated so they couldn't mix with the Middle Easterns. You know what I mean? Now, I've never heard of anything like that going on in America with black people.
It's the same with colonisation, though, John. I mean, look at the Ottoman Empire. That art barely gets brought up, and I'm sure there's others. I can't think off the top of my head. But you think, like, okay, well, the Brits were the best at colonising the world, but they would have been, if it wasn't for the Brits being the best, you know, there'd have been someone else that had done it that wasn't white or wasn't British. It was all one big war, wasn't it? All one big war and battlefield, and Britain was the best at that period. Do you know what I mean? So,
well, we made money. The thing was, Britain made loads of money off it. That's why they don't like it.
But you know what I mean? We're the one citizens like years and years later. Oh well, you did this like 500 years ago. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realise I was alive 500 years ago to colonise your country. But I apologise. Yeah, now I'll tell you what, I'll take it back. You can take England, and we can be ethnically cleansed for the rest of time, all because of some colonisation that happened years ago, and it didn't demographically cleanse them for the rest of time, did it? So. In fact, some of the colonised worlds would actually prefer us back in their nations.
Yeah, they probably would. Yeah, they probably would. You know, like you said, we made mistakes. There was bad things that happened in the past, but if we erase that history now, then we're going to repeat them things again. And I've heard a lot about segregating certain communities, LGBT community, Sasha Johnson wanted anyone who did micro racism look at you wrong. She wanted them segregated. You know what I mean? Now, really? We want to go back to segregation.
I kind of agree to be segregated away from LGBT and Sasha Johnson.
No, but you know, like these are segregation's always been bad and it never works. And that come right now to Oldham, the Oldham Bradford riots was blamed on segregation, lack of integration. That's what it was blamed on, Chris. It wasn't anything else. That was a major thing. So, all right, let's start segregating all these communities. What's going to happen?
Well, I mean, I'm going to slightly disagree. I think segregation is needed to a certain degree. I think that's why. I think that's why Birmingham has failed me as a city, because there was. Yeah, I'm not saying they integrated, but they've taken. You know, they just turned my city, you know, into different cultures, different identities. Man, if I want to go and see a mini China or a mini Pakistan, well, it's not a mini Pakistan. There's a large Pakistan now in Birmingham. I'd go there. Do you know what I mean? I don't want it in my city.
Well, we've got a sister in Birmingham. We're like adoptive sister. So I've been going to Birmingham all my life since the 90s, and I've seen that change as well, Chris. I've seen that change, you know what I mean? And it's bad, but mass immigration in the past 20, I used to be for immigration, me, to a level. But then this past 20 years, we've had mass immigration and we're getting people in who are just backwards cultures, who just don't really... You know,
I mean, you know, when I say segregation, I don't even mean like they should have their own place in England. I don't think they belong in England, to be honest. It is kind of segregated, but I don't want them in England. I don't believe they should have their own areas in England. I mean, I know that, you know, economic-wise, it's probably not possible now, and there is a shortage of the white English reproducing, but I also think that's a largely not fully down to it. It's because of the system. Everyone, you know, people need to work today. Back in the day, a couple, the father would go to work and provide everything. That's pretty much impossible. So the wife would need, or the girlfriend would need to work as well to live a stable life, and unfortunately, like, that takes away their life, a large part of their life, and they probably end up being too old to have children. So the white English birth rate at the moment is at an all-time low. But there's a lot of anti-white hatred, and also a lot of white guilt being put out there, like white English guilt has been put out there. I've known so many girls. I've known so many girls over the years. Oh, I would love a little mixed race child. They're so cute. Or I'd love a little black child. They're so cute. And I felt so sorry for blacks who have everything they've been through. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's down to the educational system. Yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
Fucking hell. It is down to the education system. I definitely agree. And the education system is forcing, indoctrinating kids with nasty values. They're indoctrinating the black kids that you don't have to be British. You could still be Jamaican or whatever, which ends up you getting the Sasha Johnsons and all that. I could see it.
Yeah, exactly,
And I mean, let's look at the part. We're not gonna. We've already got immigrants in this country, and my party, we don't want to repatriate anyone. We just don't want anyone else coming in the country.
Well, you would stop. You would just stop. As a party, you would just stop mass immigration. Or immigration fully? Would you just
end permanent settlement? End permanent settlement. That's what we want to do. That's part of our party. End permanent.
What about with birth rates? They're out of control with particularly the Islamic community. You know.
Well, we need to. They broke our families up, haven't they? They brought the white family up with the LGBT, this, that, and the other. We need to focus on putting families back again. You know what I mean? And getting that family unit back together again. These kids now who go trans and all that, they're not going to have kids. You know what I mean? They're not, or they might adopt them. But no, we need to put back into our family. Our family has been absolutely broken down. The British family, mainly white, has absolutely been broken down.
Here's a question for you, John. Here's a question for you. In your school, obviously it's a different time. I know one, by the way. I know one, and then I think there might have been two that came out since. Do you know at the time there was any self-admitted gays or lesbians in in your school from obviously a toddler to you grew up? Did you know anyone?
Yeah. Tony Joyce.
Yeah, well, you just mentioned one name. Would you say one person? Then?
No, there was a few, but Tony Joyce, all through his school life, was gay, and he just came to school with everyone else. The thing was, he was born on the same area where we lived. He was just another member of the community, although he was a bender or he was gay. No one picked on him that badly, and because we all knew him, if anyone did pick on him, they'd get sorted out. You know what I mean? He was just another member of the community, another member of our estate, although he was gay. You know, I've met many gay or bisexual, lesbian people. I've got a really good friend called Jackie who knew my sister years ago. She's gay. You know what I mean? And, you know, I've no issue against that, me. But I have an issue when indoctrinate our kids.
Well, this was my point. It's like, it seems like there's a lot more these days, a lot more out in the public eye, a lot more trans and like, yeah, they just don't know what gender they are.
It's indoctrinated. So in 2020, these are about roughly, but I did have a link for this. In 2020, there was 50 people that went to gender reassignment clinic or whatever, yeah, 50 people. That's now up to 3,000 people a year, and that was 50 people a year in just 20 years ago, Chris. They're absolutely indoctrinating our kids. And that is a good way of stopping us having large families. And as well, the amount of money they tax us, we can't afford to have kids. The general working class family cannot afford to have multiple kids.
There was also, I mean, I've changed my mind now. I wish I had this attitude years ago because I feel like we're in a fight. We should be bringing up kids, but pretty much 10 years ago, I was like, mate, I am not having kids. I'm not bringing them into this shit world. But that was actually the indoctrinating. I was indoctrinating, thinking, you know what? Fuck this world, man. I ain't bringing kids into this world, bro. You know. And then now looking back on it, I thought that's what they want you to think. They want you to not have want to have kids in this world. And well, unless you're going out with someone that's not fucking that's not English, well, they like to push that every day on the TVs. But as you said there with the LGBT stuff, I mean, I absolutely stood with the Muslims when they protested in Birmingham. You know, when they were against
the schools, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they got it closed down temporarily and they kept protesting out of school. And I know that school, man. I was like, basically, you probably would have seen one white in that school, which, but basically non-Muslim. Well, that white person might have been a Muslim in the end. That school was literally a Muslim school, and you're trying to bring LGBT. That's why I actually got a bit of respect for the Islamic community, because they do stand together as one. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm against the grooming gangs. I'm against the terrorism. You know, I'm against some of the racist attacks on the non-whites. But they have got togetherness, bro. They do together on these kind of issues.
Well, it's funny you said that about Birmingham, because after Birmingham, it came to Oldham. That, yeah. And listen to this. A prominent activist. I've mentioned him a few times. He's been involved in a couple of shady things. Live on Northwest Tonight said there could be riots again in Oldham if you don't take sex education out of schools. Now, I don't want the sex education, but Chris, I'm against any violent things. I'm against smashing the school up because you don't like the way I'm against that. We should be.
Oh, it should be a peaceful protest. It shouldn't be violent.
Yeah, but he said that live on telly. Yeah. And why it upsets me is that if you said that live on telly, you'd be cancelled, arrested, locked up. You would be, but it's all right for him to say it. Yeah. No, it isn't. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing with me. It's the biggest thing with me. They don't treat people equal. It's all right for them to say they don't like sex education because they're Muslims, but if you said it, they treat you differently. I'm not having that, Chris. I'm not having it. If you said, if you said the same thing, you know, there could be riots again and nothing happened to you, I'd be all right with that, and I'd be all right with the Muslims saying it, but I'm not all right with it because it's one rule for them and no rules for us.
I mean, you only have to look at the Black Lives Matter period, John, and I'll get your thoughts on that shortly as well. But that Black Lives Matter period, where rioting, burning the flag, I just think, mate, you should be deported in an instance wherever. I mean, obviously, would have had some citizenship here. I'd have stripped that citizenship. So, mate, where's your background from? You go in there, you're not burning my flag in my nation. You're gone. Yeah, I wouldn't be giving any sentences out. You're going. But in that period, we've seen them run riot, the police running away, the police taking the knee. And then obviously, which I was vocal against, I didn't want our people. I thought they were doing, in an essence, I quite enjoy what they're doing because it's like, finally they're waking our people up. Like the media's ignoring it, but there's all these videos going everywhere. They're burning a flag, rioting, police running. You know, I thought this is good for our cause. And then obviously Tommy Robinson called for the demo. You know, to protect the statues. Look, completely understand you want to protect our statues, but in my opinion, I was like, mate, rip the statues down because that's only going to ignite the British passion. We're going to lose important historic statues in our capital city, and that could spark something in the British people. But by us going to demonstrate against that, you know, the media's there for one thing. The police came with batons, the full riot gear, you know, completely just, and then just completely took over the English people that was demonstrating against that. And then the media all like, oh, look at all these drunken thugs and hooligans. Oh, you didn't mention this 1 week ago, did you? When the bastards were trying to tear down the statues. So, I don't know. So what was your thoughts on that period?
Oh, I hated it. I went to a few of the demonstrations and I had it with lefties. We was attacked, threatened. We went up to Manchester and there's me and two white lads. And this woman's, a mixed race girls, asked me if I wanted a mask. Yeah. And then when one of the white lads said, oh, I'll have a mask, she said, oh, no, they're only for people of colour. Wow. So she said to him, you know what I mean? And I'm like, what? It's racist, that. And then everyone were looking at us. I went to another one in Sale and there was a black woman walking around doing an anti-white speech and all white people were getting on their knees. And I went mad. Me, Chris, I went mad. So what are you getting on your knees for? You just can't talk to. If you talk to her like that, you'd be locked up. So why ain't she getting locked up? I didn't like it at one little bit. I went to another one where there's a white girl, and I said to her, so tell me about this privilege thing. Well, we are very privileged. And I said, what about Diane Abbott's son and David Lammy's kids? She looked at me and I went, they're privileged because they all go private schooling. So they're very privileged, aren't they? She couldn't answer it. And I've I've done a few videos with a guy called Truth and Rights TV. Yeah, they're on my YouTube. He's a black Rastafarian from the Caribbean, and he wants to end permanent settlement. You know what I mean? Although he is a bit Black Lives Matter, but he wants to end permanent settlement. So there is plenty of black people who agree. But yeah, it was really decisive. Our government and all the political leaders just showed how politically correct they are. And I'm not politically correct, Chris. I'm not. I say it how it is, me. If it's a spade, it's a spade. But all them politicians, it was a spade and they were calling it a fork. I'm not having any of them running our country. Sorry.
Yeah, well said. I mean, what was your opinion as a mixed race bloke? Obviously, you got the Black Lives Matter. I mean, which is obviously creating all the headlines, all the sympathy from everyone. Well, not everyone, obviously, but you know, the sheep, shall we say? And obviously, black people. A lot of black people are going to stand by it naturally, anyway, without really looking into the history of what's going on. But there was a bit of counter from a lot of nationalists with a White Lives Matter movement, which obviously I will. Also, I did support it at the time, but it was non-violent. I didn't see any violence, you know. And if there was white people going around beating black people, because I think those banners there, John, at London, so your daughter's going to enjoy a 7-incher. Do you know what I mean? Like or whatever. Some really degrading comments on placards and whatever. I can't remember word for word. But all the White Lives Matter demonstrations, I think, was very peaceful. You know, they might be. I don't know, but like compared to them, anyway, it's definitely peaceful. But how did that make you feel to see Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter? You know, you're in between. So how did that make you feel?
I mean, for me, it has to be all lives matter because I'm a bit of both.
Yeah.
It's got to be all lives matter for me. I'm a bit of both, but I'm not saying that you can't say white lives matter. But me personally, white lives matter doesn't represent all my family. Black lives matter does not represent all my family. Yeah. So all lives matter would be, but I used to say mixed race lives matter because I've heard you saying about ethno-nationalists who don't like me, but then there's black people who are exactly the same as them. And because I'm a different mix and I'm looked down at, you know what I mean? And I've seen a lot of this at Speaker's Corner. Nobody's looking down at me like that for the colour of my skin. You know what I mean? Or out like that. No one's going to, I'm not having that. I'm really not having that. That's not me. And I don't want people to be like that. But it all comes down to that identity thing. If people had come here, whether or not people agree with immigration, if people had come here and learn to respect our culture and learn to speak English, we wouldn't even be in half the trouble we're in. But they haven't. They've come here and the government has said, oh, it's all right. You do what you want. You don't even have to learn English. Yeah. You know what I mean? And discrimination. 2012, I come back from Bradford and I went to the Dole office. I knew I wasn't going to get any money, but I wanted to do my forklift truck and reach license I've done a few times and, you know, catch up on it. And I sat down at a signing on space and then a guy sat down next to me who was Muslim, who couldn't speak English, and he got an interpreter. And I said to my signing on person, I said, is that a signing on place? Yeah. What? So he's getting like job seekers allowance? She went, yeah. Well, that's discrimination because he can't speak English yet. You're making me go out, go to all these firms, phone people up all the time, and he gets the same money as me. Yet he doesn't have to do all that. I kicked off about it. This is 2012 and got thrown out at social for questioning it. And that's going on now at a level. But if we'd have said to these people, you learn English, you're not getting any dole, they soon learn English. You know what I mean? They soon learn it. But we haven't done that. Our government is, you can come in, you just go over there, do what you want. You don't have to do anything. Don't have to learn English. You just get along and do what you want to do.
I think the NHS as well, John, they spend, I'm not, I don't know if this is the exact figure. I think it's between like 58 to 63,000 pounds a day on NHS interpreters.
NHS police, the police do 100 million a year. I were at police station today and there was 3 different interpreters and then a home office person come to see an Albanian all in 3 hours. So it's, I think it's about 100 million between for the police and the National Health Service, another 100 million in translation fees. We shouldn't be doing it, and it's like coming out of your own and mine's tax money. These people should be forced to learn English. They should be. You know what I mean? You know, if the 90-year-old, we can accept that they're not going to learn it, but if they're any other age, you've got to learn English. You know what I mean? Otherwise, it just adds to the segregation. It adds to the divide between communities, and obviously all the money wasted. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. I'm against all that, Chris. Honestly, you've got to come to England and learn English. When I first went abroad to Spain in the early 90s, what did I do? Took my phrase book and learned to speak basic Spanish. You know, so I could say please and thank you. There's people come here who don't even do that, Chris.
No, I've worked with some of them as well, mate, to be honest. Yeah, I've worked with some. They're just not interested. And can you blame them when it's just like, mate, you're going to get paid. You can just be a lazy bastard. You don't need to learn the language, you know. And you can't blame. It's the same with the old Dover stuff, the Calais. It's just like, look, I mean, I always hear like, I suppose with Jeremy Kyle, I've said this countless times. Everyone watching me knows about that radio call. If you haven't, it's on this channel, so go and check it out. But you know, I told him. And he's like, well, and they're basically saying, like, I don't know if he did, but a lot of them said, well, they're refugees. They're not refugees. They're in a safe country. It's the fact that what's better, France or England? I mean, what's offering more? obviously the English people would look after them a lot more than what the French authorities do.
Well, I mean,
economic migrants.
I mean, people have come here, you know, like, and if I was for immigration and people come here to settle, that's great. But the Manchester Arena bomber, their family went back to Libya. His mum claimed £200,000 of our adult social security money while she was living in Libya. David Ames's killer, his dad come from Somalia, went back over there. He's been claiming money. It's a joke. That's not real. That's not allowed. Now, that wouldn't be allowed in any other country in the world. They wouldn't allow it. Nigeria wouldn't allow that. They wouldn't. Ghana wouldn't allow that. Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, none of them would allow that kind of abuse. But everything, they don't like the West. If England was a black country and we was capitalist, they'd still bring us down somehow, Chris. You know what I mean? They would, because they just don't like Western capitalism. They don't, and they want to bring down anything to do with the West. No matter what colour you are, you're going to get brought down.
I mean, like, obviously, I don't want any immigration, but I'd stand with more the Dalai Lama, what he said. I do believe Europe for the Europeans, but I also think, like, if we're going to bring these people into our nation to learn a trade or a skill, then take that skill back to your nation. You know, like, so you're always like, oh yeah, some of the best doctors are from India and Philippines. So, well, mate, have you been to these countries? They need the doctors and nurses. So if they're that fucking good, yeah, and we've learned them, why don't they start off back? And then they can teach someone else. They can teach someone else, and you're saving more lives. Because I just think that's just being selfish. And can you blame them? I guess not. If they're earning a fortune over here and they're being selfish to their own lives, maybe you can get that. But for me, saving. If I had to go to India, say India was this big nation of learning people how to be a doctor, and I wanted to be a doctor, but England people were all dying. You know, the ethnically English people are dying. And I went there and I learned. I'd want to come back and help my people, and also I'd be classed as it'll feed your ego, because you'll be going down in history as a fantastic guy for your nation that worked for very little, but you saved lives, you saved your own people's lives, and not only that, you've also taught your skills to other people as well in your nation. Yeah, but do you agree?
Yeah. I agree with that. But the lefties don't want that. They don't want Africa becoming an economy. They don't want these third world countries becoming an economy, because it'll end up going like China. And the left are always crying about pollution and all that. I'm all for leaving the EU and going buying goods off Africa. That's what I want to do. Rather than give Africa money, let's buy their oranges for 15 pence an orange. Yet in the EU, we have to pay 50 pence an orange. Just an example, yeah? So let's go to Africa and start buying their produce, which will give them money. We get cheaper produce, yeah? Sometimes as better produce as what we get in Europe. And then that's how they'll build Africa up. The left don't want that, because they don't want Africa becoming an economic power, because it'll just pollute the atmosphere more and it'll cause more slavery. You know, that's what they don't want, the left. So, you know, they don't want nothing. They just don't want any country going up like China. You know what I mean? They don't, because that China goes against everything that they believe in, polluting the atmosphere, cheap, nasty goods and stuff like that. We can do all that. We can make our own stuff here, but I've always believed like that. You know what I mean? And yeah, if you're going to get a skill, go back to your country with it. But they don't do that. Like we said, they come here, get hold of our benefits and go back to their country and still suck up our benefits. But they don't do no good in their country. They only go back and be tourists or whatever. It's just a joke, honestly. Biggest joke, Chris.
It is. Right, let's move on. Let's move on. I want to discuss so pretty much what woke you up then? What woke you up to start doing what you're doing?
Well, it's been a long journey for me. It's been, I would say it's been a 30-year journey. Yeah. Over that 30 years, we've had Gavin Opley's death 22 years ago, or 21 years ago. He got kicked to death in Glodick. And on that night, I was out and the police come up to me and asked me if I'd seen anyone being chased. I'd had a few drinks and jokingly I went, if he's gone that way, he's not coming back. If he's gone that way, he's got a bird and he's on his way home. And I found out that 3 days later he'd been kicked to death in Glodick. And looking at the case, he never got a racial charge on him. The highest sentence was 21 months. The lowest sentence was 9 months. Even before that, in the early 90s, my dad and other members of the community, a few different types, all different ethnicities, went to the council and said, look, you're creating ghettos with your social housing and people aren't integrating. The council never listened to them. 7 years later, we had the Oldham Bradford riots, which was blamed on the things that my dad and the other guys said. So it's been a long journey for me. It's been 30 years, you know what I mean?
Interesting. I mean, so what was it that set you off to potentially build this political party? What was the moments? Because you've just said, I've been in this game, 30 years, or you've been woke to what's going on in 30 years. Why now? What's happened for you to think this is it? This is my moment?
Well, I have been thinking of being a local councillor for more than 10 years, to tell you the truth. I just never had the push to do it until someone said, let's start this political party. And you know, I want to do it now. And what's changed is it's worse now. With the past 20, from 1950 to the year 2000, we had 10 million immigrants in. Now it's now 2022. We've already had 10 million in, Chris. Yeah, so mass immigration. You know what I mean? And I've seen it happening. I've seen how bad some of the people have. I've seen increasing abuse against kids because of immigration. And, you know, we've got to do something about it. And I always believed in the vote, me. Many others don't, but I believe in the vote. And the other day I was saying, someone said, well, you said that you want to end permanent settlement. I said, well, I'm not going to be able to do that now. But if I ever got any power and our party became really powerful, we could do it then. But you know, right now at a local level, I can change things. I can make the council say, look, right, you shouldn't be giving full dole money to someone who's not prepared to learn English. It's one of the things I'm going to do. You know what I mean? We start off low, we start off slow. But yeah, I would say the past 20 years has built me up to run now right as a candidate. And you know, I just want to change things, Chris. I really do.
I mean, I don't we all, man, but there's a lot of negativity, and maybe some of it is justified. That this country has always practically been a two-party system. Like, but a lot of people say, look, man, this is a complete waste of time, resources, money. You know, there's no change. Is it not all about building your own communities, your own friendships, your own children or whatever, and just try and pass your knowledge down? A lot of people probably just slam you for this idea of thinking it's a complete waste of time. There's no political solution, especially with what me and you would want.
Well, I mean, the first past the post thing is rubbish. We should all be on proportional voting. I agree. I totally get that. With proportional voting, UKIP would have had loads of MPs in Parliament in proportional voting on the referendum time. You know what I mean? But, you know, we don't have that. It's up to us to change it. I want to change it. So if I see something wrong with the electoral system, I'm going to fight it. You know what I mean? They go on about postal voting fraud, right? So here's something I've been thinking about. Because of COVID, the amount of people doing postal votes has tripled, yeah? So is there a security man at the post office when them postal votes goes there? Is there a security man there watching them? There should be. I don't think there is, but there should be if there's that many postal votes. So if they're ripping us off by changing the postal votes at the post office, then me calling it out and pushing for change will get a security man there. Then they can't rip it off. You know what I mean? It's, you know, we've just got to start small, Chris, you know, and people can moan all they want, right? But if they're not going to do nothing, then nothing's going to happen. So I'm starting to do something now. My party might take 10 years to build up. We might not build up. We might just crash in a year. But I don't think we will. But it might take 10 years to get our party as powerful as UKIP was at the referendum. You know what I mean? It might do. It might do. But at least I'm starting. Those people who, oh, it's never going to work, they're not doing anything to change anything, Chris. So it's never going to change. You know, oh, well, voting don't work. Well, how do you want to do it without committing violence? Well, we'll protest. Well, that don't work. So you've got to start somewhere, and I believe voting is the way to go.
I mean, I do admire. I mean, you know, without saying two defeats, I don't think we're going to really get out this way. But I also admire that the fact that you've got to try. At least just try. If we fail, you can at least hold your head up high and say, well, I tried, man. I tried for our future generations. So I can only admire that.
There's not. It's not the only way, though, to change how we're doing that. I would look more into common law to try and get common law back to us. Yeah. So there's, you know, if we've got 3 weapons to attack the establishment with, I'm not saying we're going to be violent, but we've got people who are standing as councillors and calling them out. Then we've got people who are taking the law and using the law against the establishment. Then we've got street protests against the establishment. Them 3, you've got a better chance of taking down the establishment. So it's not a one thing battle. I'm just going to go down the voting route because I think I'll do good like that. Yeah. You can go down the on-screen social media route because that's what you're good at. And then let's say that we'll go to Graham Moore. Graham Moore is going down the law and common law route. So, you know, let him do that. That's his thing. But with all them 3 things is better than just me voting, innit? So, yeah. You know, it's not a one thing. And I believe that all them 3 things that I've just said can help us change the political stance. Otherwise, the only thing it's going back to is French Revolution. And I don't want a French Revolution, Chris. Do you understand what I mean? French Revolution, guillotine.
No comment. No comment. Absolutely
no comment. I'm just saying.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. No, fair play, man. I'm going to commend you, mate. Like, I'm just trying to ask the right questions. But absolutely appreciate the work you're doing for this party. So completely agree. I wish you all the best with that. So anything else you want to say about this party before we move on? We've got about 20 minutes of the show left.
Right. Well, I mean, our 2 main things of the party is exit the 1951 Refugee Convention and end permanent settlement to the United Kingdom. So we won't have any refugees, no asylum seekers. And I'm not picking on any colour. I don't want any Ukrainians here. I don't want any Africans here. I don't want any French people here. I don't want any Germans. I don't want any Chinese. I don't want any Hong Kongers. My list is endless of people who I don't want here. I'm not going to pick on one colour of person because, like you said, if it were just Ukrainian immigration coming here, then we'd still lose. We'd still lose our culture and all that lot. If it was just all Ukrainians, if it were all Africans, we'd lose our culture. If it were all Muslims, we'd lose our culture. So we have to be hard on them all. I don't want any of them here. I don't want any Hong Kongers here. I don't want anybody here.
What about deportations? You know, would you offer any deportations?
Right. Well, the other day I talked about this. Now they were talking about the hate crime bill. Now what I would bring back would be treason, and I don't mean chopping people's heads off. I mean if Uki Ahmad had burned the poppy, he'd be deported. If them Black Lives Matter people burning the British flag, they'd get locked up. If we could deport them, they'd get deported. We've got to come to some kind of agreement. Like there's people here now. If my party came into power tomorrow, we wouldn't be forcibly kicking people out of the country. But then again, if someone's here and they've been here for a year and they commit a serious crime, do we lock them up here or do we, you know, kick them back to their country? I'd probably go for deporting me. You know what I mean? You know,
what about, like, because we spoke a little bit earlier about the birth rates, and maybe we did talk about, maybe we got to what you want with that, but with the birth rates, if it stayed the same, according to David Coleman, the indigenous people would become a minority by 2066. It could be sooner. It's only a prediction. It could be sooner. It could be later.
It's sooner. It's going to be, honestly.
It will be sooner. But like with what you're saying there, it's still not going to affect us.
No, but
in our homeland.
We broke up our families. We don't have good family units. We don't. It's too expensive to have children if you're working and things like that. And especially if you're not a Muslim, you're not going to get all the benefits. So we should focus on family. I want to give bonuses to families.
So yeah, you'd give incentive. Would you give incentives just to those of English ethnicity?
Yeah, I would do. Yeah, I'd want to focus on the family. With our schooling system, what we're thinking on the schooling system is we have two types of school. We have a Christian school, and then we have a mixed anything else school with no religion. We don't have any faith schools or anything. We don't want any mosques building. But yeah, we'd focus on British people getting busy and having more family, more kids and stuff like that. Now, the repatriation thing, to a degree, I understand it, but I don't want to force anyone.
Yeah, well, yeah, it could be like, as a northern organisation has said, it would be voluntary. Would you not agree with that? If they were just like, say, look, here's the offer, here's a certain amount, you don't have to take it, but here's the amount that you want to take.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. But I mean, building no more mosques and stopping kosher and halal slaughter will also do that.
Well, I don't think you need to offer. Look, if you stop certain things like those two, no more mosque, stop the interpreters, these things alone could literally make them think, you know what, this isn't my people anymore. So they probably want to leave for nothing. They probably like just give me the flight. Just give me the flight. Let me get back to a land where I can do all it and eat all these things.
Well, I've always been on the point of, though. I mean, I wouldn't force voluntary repatriation.
Oh, yeah.
There's a voluntary repatriation clause in the government right now.
I think
so if you're not happy, go back to your own country.
People, I can't remember what it was. I did put out a statistic last year. It was like 2,500. There was a percent that took 2,500 to return back to wherever they're from. You know, I did put out that. But you can find that somewhere. That's the Conservatives. You can find that on the internet somewhere.
But I mean, if we stopped immigration, that'd be a start, because it's because of immigration we're getting a lot of people in it.
Yeah, he's getting out.
10 million people in 20 years compared to the 50 years before that was 10 million.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So we're more than we're going to be something like triple or 4 times the amount that come in 50 years in like 30 years or 40 years. You know what I mean? That's unsustainable. I mean, besides that, we haven't got good housing infrastructure. We don't have a good transport infrastructure. Ours is second rate if you compare it to some of them in other countries. But yeah, them are the lines of what the party would be like. So yeah, people would go. You know, I can't do me kosher or me halal slaughter here, so I'll go. I'll move back home.
Yeah, of course. Without being too harsh, make life a little bit more uncomfortable for them.
Yeah.
They'll soon go.
It's like it's uncomfortable for us to live now because of all them.
Exactly. All right, we're going to move on. I want to show this video with Kim versus Anna. Do you want to give a brief intro to what this is before we watch it? And
yeah. So Tom and Kim, good friends of mine. Kim was on her way. Kim was on her way to work one day in Liverpool. She pulled up to a junction, and the car next to her happened to contain Anna Roffery, who is a decorative mayor of Liverpool, the one who goes opening things. You've had a verbal altercation, then Kim's gone off to work. This is in the morning. Next thing, when she got home that night, she's been arrested and been charged with stalking. Anna Roffery said that Kim stalked her from her house, so they took all the electronic devices. They found out that weren't true. It ended up going to court. Anna Roffery she didn't phone the police at the beginning. She phoned her chief inspector friend. Yeah, so she phoned. Kim was kept in for nearly 24 hours, didn't have any medication. And mum and dad, they took Kim's keys and went and raided her mum and dad's house. You know what I mean? And mum and dad are elderly.
I do remember this, you know. I remember this. But 2-3 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. And we went to Liverpool when Kim was locked up. And Tom is adamant that if we hadn't gone down that day and there was about 7 of us and started streaming and all that, Kim would have been locked up for a couple of days. And so it's gone to magistrates, and then Anna Rothery's come on. Oh, yeah, there were EDL in the car. There were lads there. There were no lads in the car. Kim was on her way to work, mate, at first thing in the morning. There was no lads there. No one was shouting any racist thing, EDL this or EDL that. Kim's not part of that. And the judge, oh, well, I believe her and I don't believe you. So when Kim's gone down to the probation office, she's realised the probation officer has told her it's a racial charge. Kim's like, what? So Kim appealed against it. Kim did her own solicitor. She didn't have a solicitor. The case got thrown out at Crown Court. But fucking Anna Rothery lied. This is a video.
Brilliant. We'll play that now.
So I'm recording this, and all charges dropped, conviction squashed. We've won. So if Kim wouldn't have fought for this, she'd have been a convicted person. We've won. So Anna Rothery is going to get a cheer when we come out. Buzzing.
Yes.
Hey! Woo! One for the team, Kim! One for the team! Come on there, lads! Tom. Fucking perseverance, man. Perseverance. Kim, I'm so glad, honestly. Kim. Get out! Anna Rothery. Yeah, pretend Murray.
Compensation.
Tom, come on. Tom, give me a minute. Come on, Tom. Come on, give me a minute. Come on, talk to me, brother. Talk to me.
Yes, justice at last. That's how it should be. A judge and 2 magistrates took less than a minute to come back into the court and tell us that it was thrown out. There was no evidence whatsoever presented against Kim. Kim had stacks of paper like that with all kinds of evidence against Anna Rothery and her character, the way she is, the corruption in Liverpool. He just basically laughed it off. The guy, luckily, the judge was fair, but if he was a left-wing judge, he probably wouldn't have been as fair. Luckily, he was his wife was a Conservative MP and quite right-wing, apparently. So,
he's the same judge who's done for Melanie Shaw, then, I think.
Maybe. Because his wife is a politician, basically. It was good news. It's all been squashed. Now on to the civil proceedings against Anna Rothery, basically.
Nice.
We'll go sue her now and can expose what she's done, what she's lied about, can release the evidence we have in terms of the 999 call she made, lying that there was a car full of EDL threatening her, to a police statement which was coached by police, clearly, to other corrupt things that she's been doing in Merseyside in terms of taking money out of the council, putting it into private housing associations that she's part of, with Joe Anderson and the rest of the corrupt Labour politicians around there, Derek Hatton. So yeah, victory for us, victory for politics, victory for justice. I think.
Definitely. Well, you're just going on about Anna and the mayoral thing. That's why they've dropped them, because I bet the Labour Party think they're involved in the scam as well. They should all be investigated.
Yeah,
Tom.
it's not even like it's the Labour Party that stopped Anna running for mayor. It's the Labour Party that are trying to sort of get these socialists out. Obviously, Jeremy Corbyn brought socialism full blown into Labour Party. And it looks like Keir Starmer's trying to get rid of that out of the party. Probably not for genuine reasons. It's probably because he knows it's going to cost his votes. But so if that's the case, so be it. You know what I mean? Like, it used to be for the working class. If they're going to try and get back to that, then
oh,
to them. But yeah,
Tom,
get these socialists out and let's get voting. Get voting. Dylan Cresswell's running in the Anfield elections.
It's coming on my show. It's coming on my show.
Voting for people that are standing.
Definitely.
We need these corrupt bastards out of our cities, all of the cities, not just Liverpool. Liverpool's probably the worst in this country, but yeah, happy days.
That's a win for us, Tom. That's an absolute win for us, mate. Thank you. Thank you.
Brilliant, man. It was so nice to see old Tom English there. Very happy. Congratulations to Kim. I know that was some time ago. But yeah, what a story. And yeah, it's just brilliant that justice prevailed on that day.
There's been nothing, though, you know, like, there's been nothing on mainstream media about it. Nothing. No, GB, nobody has said anything. But Anna Offaly is a stone cold liar. And I've said it publicly. I'll always say it publicly. I've never been approached by the police because she lied. We're not making it up, you know. She lied. A 999 call, did you hear, Tom? She said there was a car full of EDL. Kim was on her way to work at 8 something in the morning, Chris. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Fucking and so when that happened, it had not even come out that Joe Anderson, the Liverpool mayor, the proper mayor, is involved in scamming 100 million from the council. That they're all crooks in Liverpool's, and all our councillors are crooks. Even Oldham, every council is half full of crooks. That's what I want to change. I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
Yeah, with my work. I mean, what happened with legal case after? I mean, like with getting compensation, did anything come of it?
We've not. It's not properly started yet. The civil thing. There's going to be a bit of money involved in it because we've got to pay. You know what I mean? But I think Tom and Kim are looking at where they got to get help off a solicitor. But Anna Offaly is a liar, and you know I'll say it to her face, Chris. I've been at Liverpool live streaming and said I'll never ever not say that she ain't a liar. You know what I mean? She's a stone cold liar. And we've caught her out. I'm not having it. If it's all right for her to lie and get someone in trouble, you know, I don't do things like that. I don't lie and get things in trouble. I don't say he smashed that building up when he didn't or whatever. And we're not having it. And this is one of my stalwart things is when I find out someone's name, they're getting called out.
Good on you, mate. Good on you. So coming towards the end of the show, I do want to go on to two more things before we get your final thoughts. It's been an absolute pleasure, by the way. It's been a great show. So thank you for that as well. But we'll go to final thoughts shortly. But let's give a little shout out to the Justice for the Boys there in the background. Tracy Blackwell works tirelessly hard for this cause. Yeah, let's get your thoughts on this movement that's going on, Tracy, and any thoughts on anything that people can help Tracy and this particular movement.
Well, Tracy's page on Facebook is called Fighting for Justice, and she's looking for money now. But I mean, I've said it publicly. It's my opinion. It's my opinion. It's not. Tracy hasn't said this, James. This is my opinion after following Tracy for these years. Is that other groups didn't want Tracy getting too popular. That's what it is.
Well, we know that.
You know what I mean? Like the Tommy Tards, a load of people went against her, and there's more people who a lot of people went against her and tried shutting her down, and anyone who's supported her has been attacked as well. Beside me and other people, honestly, I don't know who these people think they are. You know what I mean? In another life, I'd be wanting to beat you up outside my house in another life. You know what I mean? And I've called them out. I've mentioned people's names. I don't give two tosses, me, because the cause is just. And I've spent time. I went to Shepperton Lane. Last year? Yeah, last year I went to Shepperton Lane and spent 3 days down there on my own. There were hundreds of people that I went down on my own, checked out all the area, asked some questions of public in the town above, did a little video at the fire station, which is 500 yards down the road. And I mean, I always will. And Tracy knows I'm one of her stalwart supporters. And if I fall out with people over it, then people are irrelevant. You know what I mean? But it's a great cause. Tracy's a great person as well. She's done a lot. She's run for candidate before. She ran for the general election. She ran as an MP to get the MP seat. She's done videos all over London. She's they sent emails to all the MPs who just ignored her. You know what I mean? Honestly, and my personal opinion is the police knew what was going to happen and covered it up. That's what it is. That's, you know. But yeah, I love Tracy. I love the cause.
Absolutely, spot on. Well said there. Big up, and may they rest in peace. Also, please go and, if you don't know the full story, I am looking at getting Tracy on at some point, if possible. Please go and check out the documentary. It's part 1 of the documentary is on Tracy's channel. I think it might actually be on my channel as well. I think I'll put it on my channel. It's on my channel.
On mine. It's definitely on mine and James's.
I will put your link up there in the pinned comment section after this, John. So before we go to final thoughts, PTSD camp at the song to end this will be showing you a little bit about the PTSD camp. So yeah, what's your thoughts? This is another woman that's gone through similar to Tracy to a degree with other movements trying to shut it down. I mean, look, I'm just going to say straight, and I've said this a few times. I think this movement could be quite blackpilling, quite a lot of negative stuff. I completely believe this is the one positive, one of very few maybe positives in our circles, because it's saving lives. It's done something productive. It's got PTSD veterans off the streets, put them into a nice home. You know, we've seen transformation in those people as well, and they don't get enough credit. They don't get enough airtime. Mainstream media don't want to know. And mate, these are, you know, obviously the veterans are heroes, but these are also to put that time, money, effort in, and then also to get slammed down by people on our side is disgusting.
Yeah.
I was meant to go last weekend. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it in the end, but I will be going at some point. I will be speaking to Joe at some point to give you more of an insight on the PTSD camp. But great people, what a great woman, an inspiration, and one of the positive things that we need to all be backing. But John, over to you.
Yeah, definitely. I went to the farm before they built anything to do with the camp, and it was Joe's idea then to do for veterans, which great idea. Bobby and Joseph Blair got involved, and the little video that you show, everything was built by Joe and Dee on the family and veterans and volunteers. You know what I mean? Just put money into it. They got raided by the police, and
I remember. Yeah.
And it's because of people like it's because of people saying they were far right and stuff. I mean, James Goddard went down once, and then he went down once, and everyone, it's a far right training camp. They said all these things. The police ended up raiding them. There was nothing far right there. I've been to that camp. I've been more than half a dozen times. I've spent more than I would say I've spent about 2 weeks there in total, 3 weeks in total, all the time I've been, and I go again. It's nothing like that. They want to support veterans, which they do. There's veterans.
Does it matter if there's someone on the far right there or the far left? If it's helping homeless veterans get off our streets, who cares about what's opinion? Do you know?
PA sent a bouquet and an hamper, and then everyone attacked Joe about it. You know, like, and you're thinking, well, they sent that because like they care about the veterans.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? There's people in PA who've had granddads who've been in wars. You know what I mean? So obviously they care about the veterans. You know what I mean? Whatever else they think is irrelevant. But, you know, and they got slandered for that. And these are off low-life people who don't do nothing really. I'm one of them, me, Chris. There's not many people who can say they've done as much as me in this past 3 years. I've been on more than 300 demos, political events, whatever you want to talk. I'm on the MERS question time. I'm building up. There's no slowing down for me. And these people who slag us off, they just go on one demo or something, and then they think they're all mighty God. And all the low lives, as far as I'm concerned, the low lives.
I've got an army. Well, no, I wouldn't say an army. I've got 1 or 2 trolls after me, and I'm like, mate, you've got an anonymous name. I've never seen you do anything special. And you know what? If you hold similar beliefs to me, or a little bit more far right to me, or a little bit left to me, I don't care. Just do something for your people, man. Quit trolling me, man, and your boring accounts. But you know what it's like, man. You put your face out there, man. You know, you're a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. We're gonna make 1 or 2 mistakes. That's life. Everyone makes mistakes. You learn from them. But yeah, just a little message to those anonymous freaks.
Yeah, no one's perfect, Chris. Nobody's perfect. And if we did think they were perfect, we'd be lying. And
yeah, exactly. Oh, he's disappeared. Right at the end of the show, he's disappeared. Oh, he's back. He's back. You could have waited to get up until at the end of the show. At the end.
Sorry, I had to close the kitchen door because the kettle's boiling, and you were just
Well, I like to keep it professional on this show. No, it's been an absolute pleasure, John. I'll give my final thoughts. Just yeah, it's been a long time coming. We've known each other probably about 3 years, give or take a few months. You know, I met you a couple of times, been on a couple of panels, but it's absolutely been a pleasure to sit down and speak to you. Obviously, no disrespect to anything I've said. I just wanted to ask the right questions and get your own opinions and your own beliefs out there. But I do admire the work and support and the effort and the determination that you've done for our movement and our cause. I might not agree with everything you've said, but that's just human nature.
We never. It wouldn't be right if we agreed on everything. But you know what? I'll talk with anyone as long as they're not going to slag me off or try and put me down. I'll talk to anyone, even a lefty. You know what I mean? I'll talk to them. A Black Lives Matter person, I would talk to them. As long as they're not going to get aggressive and be violent, I'll talk to anyone, mate. And I'm easy. I've got friends in every group. Got Tommy Robinson follower friends. I've got For Britain friends. I've got Pierre friends. I've got every kind of friend from all the movements.
Have you got an Antifa friend?
Pardon?
Have you got a friend in Antifa?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Yeah,
but
you might not want to. You might get called
up and coming. I am going to have a bit of contact with Resisting Hate, right? And it's not that I'm going having an interview. You know, Andy Edge, who fell out with Britain First.
Yeah.
Is in court against Paul Golding and Resisting Hate to being his solicitors. Yeah. And I want to go to the court case. Now, I want to go to the court case. Now, I will talk to these people, but I'll be saying things like, do you think it's all right that Open Not Hate should put out that I'm a sex offender? Do you think it's all right that they should say that I'm a thug? Do you think it's all right that they bring up cases that are nothing to do with me and not me and try and make it like it is me? Because that's what they've done. And I'm going to confront and I'm going to ask them on these questions. I'm not going to threaten them. Yeah. If they start screaming, oh, you're a this, that, and the other, or whatever, then, but, you know, they should be able to talk to me. You know what I mean? Because I've had all this. I've been trolled me. This particular one, when I first got active on Twitter and I started being shown, next thing, Open Not Hate site, Open Not Hate people have put out, is this you, John Lawrence? And it was a guy called John Lawrence who was a convicted sex offender. Yeah. Mm. And he was from Liverpool. Now, if it was me, then suddenly I've become white because this guy's a white guy. And he would be 10 years younger than me. And they tried to make it out that I was this person. And I've got issues with that, Chris. I've got issues.
Don't blame you.
Yeah. And another tweet said, oh, they call him Big John. And that's what all the young lads do when they go into his house, call him Big John, like I'm some kind of paedophile or something like that. These are the kind of things they've said. So I want to see them about it, me, and ask them if that's all right, that I should do that to them, maybe, because I've never done it to them.
Oh, that's
from Up Not Here. It's live on the live stream. When are you going to get your next bag of smack, John? That's what he said to me. Oh. You know, and I don't take these things lightly, me. So I wanna meet these people. And Andy Edge is in court, and there's going to be some of them there. So Big John's going to be there as well.
Well done, John. John, let's get your final thoughts. Anything you want to plug? Any links you want to plug? You know,
right. Well, I am.
Your final thoughts, bro.
I am looking to doing a bit of grifting because I need some money for leaflets and stuff like that. So I have a PayPal. I'll send you the link after, and I have a bank account. And you know, a while back, I used to do a video and explain why I'm asking for money, you know, and defend myself for asking for money. But I don't do that no more. I just ask for money. And the people who give me money know that I'm worth my weight in gold, much more so than 99% of everyone else. Because I'm always on the run. I'm always doing something. I need money for leaflets, and I'm getting into a political thing. Once our party gets up and running, it should make its own money. But for them, we need money. So I'm grifting. Big John.
What I would call a grifting is someone saying, I need money for X, Y, Z, and then they produce nothing. They just
right, yeah. That's grifting. I produce something.
You need. I think, like, I mean, people might have a different idea. They might call you a grifting for doing this, but if you're, and I know you produce, you know, I don't think with Active Patch when I spoke to him, he wanted money for the boat and whatever. It's like, look, this is where your money's going. With a lot of these organisations, you know, they ask for money. Some of them don't even say they're going to do X, Y, Z with it, and they get the money, and nothing gets done. Nothing gets bought. Yeah. Nothing gets done. So you need money to do things in this world, and especially in this political game. So I don't mind. I wouldn't call it grifting personally, but.
Yeah. But you know, I take it as a laugh now. You know, I've done 3 years at this, and I might be able to say that. I can't give an estimate, but I might be able to say that I've had $2,000 in 3 years. But I've been on over 300 demos, political events, the Mayor's Question Time. This all costs money. Get all my travelling to do it. Leeds Crown Court, how many times? Court cases in Manchester, court cases in Bradford. Now, so that's where my money's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Right, we'll wrap up the show. Any more final thoughts? And again, John, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed the interview. But yeah, any more final thoughts?
I did. Get me on again sometime. You can find me on my YouTube is John Lawrence. My Facebook is John Lawrence. I'm on Twitter, NHP UK leader. I do have a lot of social media links, but they're all on me YouTube. And we want people to stand up and want people to vote and be counted. So if you're interested in running as a candidate in a local elections or anything, get in contact with me or Patriotic Social. We're experts in canvassing and stuff like that. We have got some interest. So there's 2 of us running in May, but there could possibly be up to 10 people running if we get enough interest. And people are interested. People have messaged me. So if you want to get into running as a candidate in a local elections or anything, get in contact with us. We'll see what we can do. We'll help you out. I've got quite a bit of experience. I've been a vote agent. I've done a lot of canvassing over like past 5 years. I'm an expert. I'm good at talking. I'm really confident as well, Chris. So yeah, get in contact.
Brilliant. Thank you, John. It's been an absolute pleasure. So obviously what we're playing now is a song. It is 7 minutes long, but basically it's just not the song you're listening to. It's you're looking at the PTSD camp, a nice little video made. So enjoy that. But if you don't want to listen to this and watch what's made, then feel free to disconnect. So I hope you all had a good show, guys. Please go and subscribe to John. Does fantastic work. And we'll catch you for the next episode very soon. Peace out.
These mist-covered mountains are a home now for me, but my home is the lowlands, and always will be. Someday you'll return to your valleys and your farms, and you no longer burn to be brothers in arms. Through these fields of destruction, baptisms of fire, I've witnessed your suffering as the battle reached high, and though it hurt me so bad, in the fear and the alarm, you did not desert me, my brothers in arms. There's so many different worlds, so many different suns, and we have just one world, but we live in different worlds. Now the sun's gone to hell, the moon's riding high. Let me bid you farewell. Every man has to die, but it's written in the stars, in every line in your heart. We're fools to make one, all our brothers in arms. Thank you.